That was a superhero movie. Like, I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Me and the guys will talk more about it in the main review, and trust me, we'll talk about spoilers. We'll go in depth in everything. But holy shit, I didn't think I'd say this. DC, you nailed it. You nailed it. This is, and for anyone who says, the action isn't as good as like Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman, it didn't need to be. The story was enough on its own to carry you. It was enough on its own. And I appreciate that it was a story about family. You you sympathize with Billy right out the gate because a lot of things were running through my head, right? When it appeared that him and his mother had got separated, okay? So it appeared that either A, she died, or two, she didn't want him, or three, there was something else I was thinking of, but it's completely gone. And, when it dawns on you, when he finally meets her after all this time, like, I don't want to say, in case anyone hasn't seen it, but, it hit me right in the gut. I was like, oh, Jesus, ouch, god damn. I mean, he's one of the most sympathetic characters like I've seen done by like in the superhero genre. You can really relate to this guy. You don't necessarily have to have the same family background and all that, but you relate to his struggle, his coming of age. You relate to him finding his place. Him finding that he's meant for more. I'd say Martin Strong nailed it as Dr. Savannah. Fantastic portrayal. I would have preferred if he was the reboot for Green Lantern as Sinestro, but that's just me. He nailed it in the other Green Lantern, but hey, he did a good job as Savannah. The original Shazam that was played by that guy that's like in every movie. Fantastic performance. All the performances were top notch. And I don't want to say, but that ending scene, wow, you fuckers. I'm sorry, I'm gonna swear at you because that was fucking genius. That was downright horrible. Doing that, that was downright horrible. I think in terms of the direction from here, I would prefer the direction for Shazam and other DC movies going forward is not to copy the MCU and let's do 10 films to Justice League, another 8 films, Justice League 2. Don't do that. Do it differently. Do Justice League, but don't build up to it. Instead, what you could do, and this is based on the ending scene, I don't want to say too much, in case you haven't seen it, it was fantastic. But instead of building up events, you could just do crossovers whenever you want. Why not do that? Like, you haven't got to build it up the same way Marvel has, because that formula worked for them. What works for you will be different, because every single DC film that's a standalone kills it. Kills it. All the ensemble pieces, Suicide Squad, the less said about that, the better. I think it was complete dog shit, but it had good moments. But it is what it is. That's why they've got James Gunn in, because he will make it good, regardless of how shit the story will be. But with him at the helm, it should be fine. But Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, Shazam, the standalone movies are really strong within DC. And while Aquaman I would rewatch more, while Man of Steel is my all-time favorite DC EU movie. EU, not DC overall, because that goes to Dark Knight, Batman Begins, them kind of films. But in terms of DC EU, Man of Steel is number 1 for me, and it always will be. That film was just fucking stellar from start to finish. Second, I'm going with Aquaman. I just love the visuals and the soundtrack and just the way it's done. But it could be knocked out of place by Shazam. Only because while the visuals in Aquaman were great, the story was just so much better in Shazam. Like, this is proof, right? Shazam has good visuals. It has a lot of good special effects and all that. But it doesn't need them. Like, I think I've already seen Jeremy John say something about it as well. I didn't really care for the fighting. The fighting was cool, but I cared more about the characters. I cared more about their stories, and I cared more about where they were going to end up. not necessarily how cool they looked in the fighting scenes. I wanted to see, you know, where these characters' relationships ended up. You feel for each of the characters. I mean, you've got the guy who plays Jerry in The Walking Dead. You've got the guy who plays Eddie in It. You know, there's a really good cast here, and they nailed it with this one. The character relationships are what makes this film so strong. And based off of initial reaction, I'm gonna give this out of right. I'm gonna do this system. I'm gonna award it in geek points. I'm gonna award it 8 out of 10 geek points. 8 out of 10, because while it's not a 10, because there are a few issues here and there, pacing is not one of them. This film was well paced and well structured. The only thing I would have liked to have seen more on is more depth on Dr. Savannah. I would have liked to have seen more of that. That's the only gripe I have. Other than that, and maybe some more like improvement on the visuals and the effects. But other than that, that's all stuff they can improve on in future. The story, however, was fantastic, and you know, this is really laying the groundwork for what could be the start of the DCEU doing a good course correction. Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, follow them films and go with that. Go with that. Because it's a successful formula. It's working, and you know, the amount of praise that film is getting right now, it's good. And you know, I always watch films again on rewatch just because I like seeing scenes, or I'm an action junkie. You know, I like to sit there and indulge in you know, just orgasmic special effects, but I'll take story and substance over it any day. This is where the things like The Last Jedi fail. Visually, it's stunning. It's one of the most beautiful looking Star Wars films ever made. Period. Not gonna get in that argument with people. It's my opinion. Deal with it. It's one of the best looking films ever made. However, it lacks substance. It lacks substance. This film did not lack substance. From beginning to end, you fall in love with the characters. You root for them. I mean, fucking Billy, so many people could relate to this guy. And all the characters are likable, you know, they say and do things that, you know, it really hits you in the gut. You know, when the little girl that was his sister as part of the adopted family, you know, when she said that's what a good sister does, I was like, oh shit, man, pulling on the heartstrings. They really nailed it with this film. I mean, I'm going to talk more with the guys about it in the next video we do, but I've got a lot more positive things to say about it. Hopefully I haven't spoiled anyone, because, you know, when we go over it, we're going to go into spoilers. This is just like, this is a review, but the in-depth review is going to come soon. But I highly recommend it. Get on this. This is one of them DC films where you need to stick with. And you know what I love? People were so hesitant about this movie. They looked at the marketing and thought, nah, it's going to be whack. It's going to be whack. It's going to be shit. You haven't even seen the fucking movie, and now everyone's loving it. Surprise, surprise. And Zachary Levi, perfect job. Perfect job. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen him in anything else, but I'll compare him to, I don't know, I've seen Alvin and the Chipmunks too. Laugh at me in the comments. He was in that and he did a good job. He voices the guy who plays Flynn in Tangled. Does a good job in that. He does a really great job at, you know, being a sympathetic kind of flawed hero, you know. And I'm just gonna throw this out there, right? I'm not taking shots at the other Captain Marvel. Step aside. This is the real Captain Marvel. Get lost. Go away. This film totally blows that one out the water by a fucking country mile. I was rooting for every single character. And Captain Marvel, I was mainly watching it for the spectacle and because it's in the build up to Endgame. Again, I'm not hating on it. I'm just making that clear because I know people are going to get upset at me. It's just my opinion. It's not that necessarily because of what Brie Larson said before. It doesn't matter if people are misconstruing her comments or not. She still said them, and why would you say them when you are on the cusp of promoting the penultimate stage of the MCU? You know, I'm not gonna go into it. And I don't like to be that guy that compares the Marvels, but I think I'm going to do a video comparing these two films because they're pretty much, same name, come out at the same time. But this one was just, oh, wow. Goddamn. But yeah, go and see this movie. Go check it out. Go take your boys, take your kids, whatever you need to do. Because this film is fucking fantastic. I highly recommend it. People will say, oh, it's a bit corny. Everything's corny. Everything's corny. Well, how would you feel if I told you anime was corny? How would you feel if I told you cartoons were corny? How would you feel if I told you Star Wars was corny? Everything's corny. Fucking even what's it? It's corny. It. The guy, when he comes out the fridge, looked like some fucking, creepy motherfucker. That's corny as shit, but it works for the story. So the corny thing isn't an argument to me. It's never been an argument. It's when the corniness and the cheesiness of it kind of overtakes what you're watching, that's different. If you were to say the corniness of Power Rangers, I might agree with you on that. But I've got a lot of nostalgia for the Power Rangers. Tommy Oliver's my guy, so nah. Fuck it. Let things be corny if it works. That's the way I see it. But anyway, go and check it out with anyone you want to take it to the cinema to see this, because this film is fucking good. And DC really nailed it with this one. And you know what I said? I said that once Endgame's done, once Marvel have built this up, DC are primed for a takeover. Like, people laughed at me. I said DC are in the driving seat to take over. Think about it. Marvel has done all their big storylines. Civil War, Infinity War, the first team up, the rise and fall of Hydra. They've covered all the big story arcs. Yeah, you've got the Secret Wars, you have Civil War 2, and you've got other things like that, and maybe the introduction of Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four. But that's a way off. That's a way off. So there's a good few years here where DC can actually take over. And you know what? I'm not a DC fanboy. I'm not a Marvel fanboy. I'm just a fanboy. I love all the comics. Why you guys got to pick a side? I've never understood it. I don't get it. There's some things in Marvel I dislike, Captain Marvel being one. Some things in DC I like, SHAZAM. So there you go. Some things in DC I dislike with a fucking passion. Suicide Squad is without a doubt, like, my eyes were fucking rolling out of their sockets. Like, I watched it the first time, I liked it. After that, no. No. I don't know. The story was just iffy. Diablo was cool though. I like Diablo. And then Marvel, Infinity War. You can like both. It's not a crime. You ain't got to like one or the other. I don't know why people have to create this divide. But anyway, back on it. I'm rambling. Yeah, go and see the film. I give it an 8 out of 10. Go and show this film some support, because we need more like this in the DCEU. And it really brought a nice dynamic of humor and serious, and combining the both of them and using them when necessary, and it worked for the character, and it was an entertaining story. So just quit your fucking crying, quit your fucking moaning, go and watch it. Go and watch it. Go and watch it and see for yourself. Forget reviewers and critics, forget me, forget I even told you my opinion of it. Just go and watch it for yourself. Go watch it for yourself and make your own opinion. That's what people need to do a lot more of these days. But you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it. But to those who have seen it, comment down below. No spoilers, just comment down below what you thought of it, whether you liked it, you disliked it, and do you think this is, also on the path to redemption for DC? Let me know down below, and I will talk to all of you soon. What was I going to say? Oh yeah,